I hope this thing's going to work. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finish Wednesday. We are live, and hey to Jimmy, and hey to Joel. It's good to see everyone hopping on this evening. Tonight, we're going to be tying the infamous, or actually, I'll just call it the famous, um, Clouser minnow. This fly is designed by Bob Clouser. He's a good friend of Katie and I's. We've hung out with him quite a few times. If you get a chance at the show to go and watch him tie, or just hang out with him, take advantage of it. He's a really cool dude. We've learned some tricks from him over the past few years. Hey, Gary, um, and hopefully we'll be able to pass some of those on this evening. Um, and I was worried my other TV wasn't going to work, and it's actually working tonight. So, all right. G'day, Ken. Fancy seeing you here this evening. Ken, did you get Ken's picture? Did he
I
give us
did.
today?
I did.
Okay, good. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
So we'll go over a couple tips. One on somewhat selecting deer hair, but more importantly, where to get the deer hair from on the tail when you're tying Clouser minnows, and why some areas. I'll show you why some areas are better than others. Other than that, tying some eyes, tying some deer tail, tying a little flash, and we'll have it done. So, what's up, Josh Riston? Hello, and Mike Phillips. So the fun part about this is y'all's interaction, y'all saying hey, y'all asking questions. I'm gonna start off and tie a chartreuse and white because a good friend of ours asked us to tie some Clouser minnows for him, and he wanted size 4s and 6s, and for me, I wouldn't say my number one, but close. Chartreuse and white is definitely high on the list. So, and that was the first color he asked for. But I've already got a handful of them tied up, and so I'm gonna tie one more size 6 chartreuse and white, and then I'll be looking to you all for your suggestions. I've got quite a few colors here. I do not have burnt orange. That's one color I do not have, is a burnt orange bucktail. So with that said, I know a lot of you all go to the fly fishing show and various fly shows across the country. And if you ever run into Brad Buzzy, white and pale pink, that is bubble gum. I don't know if this is pink, pale enough, but that's definitely the white and pale pink is a killer one for me. Oh, I need to go live on Instagram. There we go. But absolutely white and pale pink. If no one else hops on, that's what we'll tie. So Katie, you want me to go and start, or do you want to?
Well, I was just drawing some names here, and I wanted to share some of the foamulators from last week really quick.
So Katie is going to do the drawing for the lid rig fly box, as well as the flies that we tied last week. That's flies that we tied a couple weeks ago, and we'll throw in some other flies and some stickers as well. So I'll turn it right over to Katie and let her do the drawing and show off some pictures.
Right. So we'll start off by looking at some of the pictures. And remember, if you want to share your post on Instagram with us, be sure that you include @Demuth_fly fishing on your actual post so that we can find it on the picture. Right.
Yeah. Tag us in the picture. You can do the post as well, but in the picture is really important because that shows up permanently in our little feed.
Right. And so if you don't mind doing that, then we'll be able to easily find what you're sharing with us. But this week I wanted to share just a few of the pictures that I had. And so this is the first one we have, and this is Gray Ghost Fly Tying's version of the foamulator. Very nice job there. And then Jimmy Roop had this little quattro of orange and I guess foam color, which I really think is cool.
Yep.
And then we have Ken B, who emailed us. You can also email us your pictures if you want to as well, at demuthflyfishing@gmail.com. And love those. Looks like for his foam as well. And then he's got another stem down there, and I love the sparkly flash on there as well. Looks really good. And then we have, and I'm going to say Boss One, and if I'm not saying that the right way, I apologize. But I love this picture here. I can't tell what that is behind the flies. I'm not really sure, but it looks really cool. 2 yellow foams, and Mike Ragsdale also did several pictures of his, and his is a very like neutral kind of shade, which looks cool with the white foam. And I just thought this was a super cool picture here too, the different kind of stimulator and the foamulator side by side next to a pair of Renomed scissors, if I am not mistaken. Looks really good. So yeah, everything's looking great. And thank you so much, guys, for sharing. And I did do a drawing, and Jimmy Roop is our winner this week. He is going to get.
Jimmy Roop won again?
Yep. He is going to receive a lid.
Let's switch it back over to you, because I think when it goes over to the pictures, they lose audio.
I don't think so, but
That's on the fritz.
There we go. Okay, so this is what we're giving away this week. This is a lid rig box with the fly box, and it has this piece in here that goes with it. And I think you showed this last week, didn't you?
Yep.
If you guys can see that.
So it's the whole thing's magnetized.
Magnetized, comes out like this. You can move it to whichever side you like on the inside. And we're also going to throw in a lid rig sticker with that as well. So.
And the flies that we tied. And
the foamulator flies that we tied last week. So thanks everybody for sharing your pictures this week.
Cool. Well, Joel is the lid rig says that's hot, baby.
It is.
So congratulations to Jimmy Roop. Shows how random and random it is, because we did not plan for him to win twice in a row. Joel, I believe, hopefully the audio is back on track. Big thanks to Lid Rig for that box. Wade, you're absolutely correct. That Lid Rig box is sweet. Is the audio okay? All good, Joel. Good. Glad to hear that you got it.
Yeah, I mean, when I switch over to the media player, it shouldn't affect the audio at all. So.
It's just the past few times, that's when we've had audio issues. So maybe it's just
I don't know. I'm not really sure if it has been, but
it's working here now, so that's good. So I started a list of the colors, and someone else put a color up there, but I do have pale pink and white written down. So colors of Clousers, let us know. Yeah, so let's get tying here. So there's probably my favorite hook on tying Clousers, believe it or not, is the Arex SA210, and that is a Bob Clouser special. Sorry, Bob Clouser signature. That is awesome hook. That's what I tied a bunch of them on. But when our buddy asked us to tie size 6s, here you go. I'll pull it up like that. When he asked us to tie size 6s, I didn't have this hook in a size 6. So I went over, and we've got these X series from Umpqua, the XS410 all-purpose hook. This is a stainless steel hook that's saltwater. I believe it's stainless steel, but it is a saltwater hook. And I do have that one in a size 6. So that's what we're going to whip up or use tonight. So we'll go ahead and throw the hook in the vise and try to get it somewhat straight. And I'm going to start off with just the chartreuse and white, because I need to tie one more size 6, and then we'll move on to some other colors. So what I'll do is I'll just start the thread. And what Bob will do is he'll put a thread bump here. Sometimes I've seen him put 2 on there, and that's my one thing that I'm going to bypass. I'm not going to do the thread bump, and I'm probably making a giant mistake. but I'm just a rebel like that. So we'll put some small eyes on here. These are just silver. And the only reason is because I've got that fluorescent orange, gold, what other colors did we post today? A chartreuse, and we'll have a silver one. Try to give them a good selection. So we're just going to lash it on with one little wrap there. Now, one of the problems that I made a lot when I was first tying these is I tied my eyes too far forward. You can see that's too far back now. So you can see kind of where that is on the hook shank. It's almost halfway back, but this is a size 6, so this is very small. So all I'm going to do is I've got one wrap in there. I'm going to do 10 wraps. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then see how it's kind of crooked or really crooked. Now I'm going the other way, and these are going to tighten it up. 1, 2, we'll put 10 more. And this should get it really nice and tight. What does that take? Is that close to 10? One more on there. Okay, so I've got 10 one way, 10 the other way. I'm gonna check and make sure I'm keeping my thread pretty tight. Make sure it's straight. Make sure everything's good to go with it. Now I'm gonna go under and around about 6, 7 times. So my thread's going under the eyes, but over the hook shank. Under the eyes, over the hook shank. And now every now and then I'll pull that tight. And now I'll do a few more this way. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Pull that tight. These what are these called? Like a collar wrap. I don't know. I feel like these wraps right here really cinch your other wraps down super tight, and these are the ones that keep the eyes from moving. And thank you, Joel. Good question. This is the 6/0 Semperfli Classic Wax Thread and Chartreuse. Good question. And you definitely want a heavier thread for this one, and we've got the room on the shank. So another thing that I do that Bob does not, and I promise most of the stuff I do is for Bob, but I'm going to explain to you why I do this. So I'll go ahead and put a layer of thread all the way back. Now, the reason I do that is I want to give this a little bit of texture, a little bit of, once I get everything tied in, the bucktail going out the back is going to be on top of the hook shank. When I fish these a bunch, I really load up everything with resin or with Sally Hansen's right here. But, finger out of the way. But when I fish these a bunch, right, this part here is a weak spot. And when fish get on here and they really start tearing this part up here, that they can cut into the thread here. So I feel like getting just one layer of thread here is going to make it a little bit more durable. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my rationale behind doing that. So now I'm going to bring my thread all the way up to the eye, all the way back to right here. So what those wraps do is when I tie my white bucktail in, that's going to give your bucktail something to sit on and make it to where it doesn't spin around the hook shank as much. It's just going to, once again, add a little texture to that. So, and I didn't write down the other color. So let's go over here to that. I should pull out a better bucktail. I'm trying to do a better job of using the bucktails that I've started and not just randomly grabbing a bucktail. So you can see right here the bucktail that I've been using, and I don't know what kind this is, or it's a deer. That's the kind it is. And you can see the spots that I've been cutting from. So if you can guess, this is the area of the bucktail that you want to get your deer hair from. So let me just show you real quick why that is. So at the base of the bucktail, these fibers are going to be a lot more hollow. So let me just pull a small little bunch out here from the base. We can show you why you don't want it super hollow. Clean it out just like you normally would. So we've got a little, move this out of the way. So we've got a little bundle here. So I'm gonna do this, I don't want to say I'm gonna do it wrong, but I'm gonna somewhat do it the way we would normally do it. But I'm gonna do this part fast. So let's go back over to the hook. So I've got my hair prepped, I'm ready to go. Put this right on top of the hook shank. I'm gonna do like I would normally tie this in, bring it around, bring this up, and see how that's flaring? And I haven't even pulled that tight. I want to pull that, see how that flared up like that. So now when I bring it down through, it's like that. Well, that looks like junk. That's not what we want. Now that'll hold really good. They'll hold really nice. But when I bring my thread back to the rear as well, and I put a couple good tight wraps here, look how the back of it flared out. So that's not how we want, and let's just pretend. So let's pretend like this is how we want it to go. That's not how we want the back of our Clouser to look. So a lot of people are going to show you the correct way to do it, and that's awesome. I just showed you the wrong way to do it. Don't grab the fibers from the base of the bucktail because they're more hollow, and the reason you don't want them hollow is because it'll flare too much. Does that make sense? I hope so. So thank you, Katie. Good transition. New fantail Clouser. That's right. So I'm gonna get my piece from right here. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna pull it straight out, kind of make sure I've got a nice little bundle. So another tip on this is when you're pulling this out, just like with a hackle, if we're going to strip some CDL off a rooster for tails, we want to pull this straight out. Try to get it so you can see it. Do this completely backwards the way I normally do it. Oh, okay. And that kind of aligns the tips a little bit, kinda, but that makes your cut off where you take advantage of the entire length of the bucktail. So this is a size 6. And when I was first buying bucktail and actually paying attention, and I won't say paying attention, when I was going to a shop or I was at a fly show and I was buying bucktail, I wanted to get the biggest, the nicest, the fanciest bucktail that I could get. And I learned that longer is not always better. You don't need to buy a premium bucktail for most. I don't need to buy a premium bucktail for most of my tying. I've got this like miniature junky one here, and it's phenomenal for most of the sizes of Clousers I'm tying. So don't worry about spending extra on don't worry about spending extra on the expensive bucktail that's bigger. And Jason, dude, I've caught a ton of flounder on the standard one. Now, the fantail might be a new pattern, but a standard Clouser has worked great for me. So tip number whatever, if you don't know exactly how much to get less bucktail than you think you're going to need, because I see a lot of people that will put too much bucktail in their fly, and it makes it difficult for it to be tied down. So now I'm going to take this and spin it, kind of open these fibers up, and just kind of flick it like this over my trash can. Yeah, this thing, I've literally caught a ton of flounder the past couple of years on this fly. Just make the flounder, and the chartreuse and white's what I caught. Caught a bunch of smallmouth on last fall, I believe. So that's looking pretty good. So now lengthwise, I want it to be about 2 and change. So let's see if you can see where I'm looking at. So we'll say that's 1, 2. So that's about where I want it. So let's try to measure again. And that's mean entire length of the hook. So that's 1. Yep. 2. I'll get a little bit longer and call it good. All right, so now we're going to cut it straight off, one straight clean cut. Now another trick is when you're cutting, can't get it. When you're cutting, pull your scissors back as you make the cut. Pull back just slightly, because when you're pushing forward or you're just making the cut, it's a lot of times it's pushing the fibers forward, and you'll get like more of an angled cut. But if you pull back, it grabs the fibers and gets you a nice clean cut. Now, if you've got a really good pair of scissors, I've never fished two at one time. But I imagine if you had a big one and a smaller one, or even two the same size, that'd probably work fine. But Glenn, answer his question. Glenn probably has a lot more experience than I do with him. Like any other out there. I think the question should be what fish would not hit this? All right, so we've got our bucktail all ready to go. So let's go back to the hook shank here. So as you can see, if you look this way, see it's kind of an oval going straight up and down. So we want the finished product to be more vertical this way, not a big round thing. There's other patterns that are kind of round, but we want it to look like almost like a knife. So this will start with the very beginning. So I'm kind of messing around with this. I'm gonna cut just a pinch of this off. All right. So put the tip or the little edge. So let's say the corner. I mean, right here, this corner here. Put it right in front of your thread and hold it at an angle. See how it's just like that? I'm gonna take a loose wrap and see how my thread is going backwards like that. Loose wrap, pull tight. Now see how that did not flare as much? Now we'll pull it really tight. Now just bring my thread forward. It's right behind the hook eye. Okay, good so far. So I'm not putting a whole bunch of wraps here. So we get that one tag in there to fall down a little bit, fray. Not going to cut that out. So now we don't need to put a bunch of unnecessary, you need a very long leader if you want to tie two on at once. We don't want to put a bunch of unnecessary wraps on here. So I'm going to take my thread. Let's go back to the hook, please, ma'am. Take my thread. I'm just going to bring it straight back to here and put a wrap there right behind the eyes. So now I'm going to take my my bucktail. I'm going to put another loose wrap here and pull straight up. Now I like about 2 or 3 wraps there, just to make sure it's good and locked in. Now here's kind of where you can make it a little bit fancy. Make sure these wraps are perfectly, and I'm holding the bundle up. 2 wraps there. So now we've got, it's kind of hard to see if that chartreuse, but now we've got that tied in nicely. I think I'm saying nicely too much here. Now we'll bring this right back to the hook eye. So you see how I'm going from behind the eyes to behind the hook eye with just one wrap. I'm not building up a whole bunch of wraps in there. Now when we look here, this right here is, other than that layer of thread, that's bare. So all that bucktail is right now on the bottom of the hook shank. That's where all that bucktail is. We don't want it to go around the hook shank. It works. Smaller ones are mighty fine. And another thing, we're just going to tie a standard Clouser with as far as deer hair. Bob has suggested using calf tail for smaller ones. We've tied them. I've tied them with marabou. You can use synthetic materials. You can use all sorts of different materials. Hello, Truman. Everyone say, hey, Truman, welcome back to the show. All right, so we'll flip this guy over. Now we'll put some flash in here. So you can use a lot of different things. This is crinkle fluoro green, because I thought it'd go good with the chartreuse. Just going to pull out about 3 fibers, going to double it over. Well, 4. I'm being really efficient with this here. So this is the Semperfli Flora Green crinkle. Let's get this all somewhat one length. Now we're good. All right, so let's get back to the hook shank. So what we're going to do is, what's up, Jeff? Haven't seen you chiming in yet. Man, Katie is rocking it again tonight. And yeah, that's right, guys. That's a nice way to make Trailman feel welcome. So I'm going to take my my flash, and it's going more, probably 3/4 of it or so is going on my left side. So it's not not halved. So you see just a little bit there. We'll fold this over. We'll bring it just like this. Hold it right on that top because I don't want it to, see how it looks? I don't want it to roll over to one side or the other. We'll pull this back, make sure that that splits that, yeah, splits the hook. There you go. Now, Bob says he likes his to be about half an inch or so longer than the bucktail. Personally, it's a little bit long for me, but I'll leave this one about 1/4 inch or so past the bucktail. And yeah, there we go. So we got that in there. So now we're at the chartreuse. Now, as a general rule, we talked about where to cut it. Oh, Gary, so I'm doing it wrong at 1/4 inch. That's why I haven't had as good a days. So let's switch back over to the side camera while I'm doing this. So we went over how to cut this off, where to cut the fibers from. Let's make sure we get this brown in there because that just won't look good. So as far as colors, and this is more general rule, and I break it every now and then. But as far as colors, if you will put your darker color on top, because that's more what the naturals are going to be. That's what, like the minnows typically have got a darker top than the bottom. Yeah, no kidding. I've got, I don't know if you see the big, yeah, that's getting ready to pop off here in just a little bit. It's not that big a deal, but
It's not.
I'm a big wimp. Love that technique. Got to remember that underbelly trick. So, like I said, typically the lighter color on the bottom. So I'm going to clean out the shorts out of here. So when I do that, I'm grabbing my bucktail about the 25% mark for the tips. So I've got about 2/3 to 75% hanging out here. I just kind of do that. So then I'm going to get my length. That looks about right. Same thing with the oval. Cut it off. I'm going to cord up my thread. What's up, Drip Products? I like the crinkles on. Yep, that crinkles on. We might use one of those in just a few minutes. Depending on what color to go. They don't have very many colors of it. Unfortunately, when we were out west, I wasn't able to get any. So same way, light thread, pull up. Now we're just going to bring our thread forward, touching wraps. Now we're going to just build this up. And get that head in there. Just like that. So now we've got our head in there. Now we want to be able to pull on it so that the whole hook's moving. We're not pulling anything out at all to make sure everything's all good and locked in. And I'll bring this back. Oh, those of y'all that are missing Misha, she's back. Veiling over top the crinkles on. Yep. Chris will do some more here in just just a little bit. This is 4mm at eyes and or small, and size 6. This is a small one. There's not on a size 6. You can tell where I went. Seemed like I went kind of far back on the eyes. Size 6, you still have a lot of room. So go ahead and do a couple of whip finishes here. So they're the back to front. One more. Everyone say hey to Misha. She back. She's like, did I miss anything? What did I miss, guys? Cut this off. And now what I like to do, I'm just going to put one coat on for right now. And I don't know if I'll put any on the rest of them just for time's sake. What's up, John? John, do you know what Brad Buzzy's website is? Or does he even have a website? So flip this around. Put a little bit here, a little bit here, on the sides. And the reason I put 2 coats, I want this to soak in and cure. So now I've got that all in there, really nice. And that'll soak in, and I'll put another coat because this bottom part, in the salt water anyway, we're dragging it on sand and everything else. What's up, Joe? We're dragging sand and everything else. The bottom just gets destroyed. So you want to make sure that you put as much protection as possible. So here's our final product here. If you want to look over on the side, honey. Try not to touch it too much. But there's our final. See, we got a little flash there. I shouldn't have put the resin on there. So there we go. So that's what we're going for. It's a kind of small one. Buzzfly. Yeah. We're just talking about different kinds of different places. And that's really good stuff for sure. All right. So we're going to do a size 4, jump up to a much bigger one. And Gary was asking for pink, light pink. So I might go to, I'm going to save a 6/0 thread. And we'll go, I think about shell pink here. Look at that shell pink. That'll work good. Hey, Katie, will you restart this for me? Thank you. All right. So I'm going to spool up my thread, and we'll do one more after, maybe 2 more, but we'll do one more. So hopefully I'll be able to see the comments in just a second, and let us know what other colors you like. I like black and purple. I've had really good luck with black and purple on Clousers as well. Bob, usually when you see him out tying, is tying a yellow and chartreuse. So that's probably a good one. Someone mentioned using a peacock topper, so you can definitely. You might have make some smaller size 10 on, but skinny on Clousers. Black and claret. That'd be a good one. I don't know if I've got claret. For someone who's got like a giant box of bucktails, I'm embarrassed that I don't have some of this stuff. All right, so we're going to start a thread again. And I'm going to get, let's see, we're going to do this pink one, so we'll throw some pink eyes on it. I'll write down the black and claret. If I can find my pencil, my pen. Of course I can't. Here it is. Black and claret. So I'll put claret on the old wish list. So someone asked about the eyes. So if you want to switch over, these are just grass eyes, small fluorescent pink. That's what these are. So remember, we want to give ourselves plenty of room in the front. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Usually I just hold on to that so it doesn't spin around, but I'm trying to get it so you can see a little better. Bring this 1, 2, 3. Now I'm pulling on really hard because I want to straighten that out. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So see how we're nice and straight? Go around it. 2, 3, pull tight. So I could probably be a little bit further back, but that'll be okay. I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I miss what look you're using, like a short shank, and I'm liking the size. They're not much. Normally, I'm tying on this Bob Clouser, for Clousers anyway, the SA210, but I didn't have this in size 6. So I'm using this is the Umpqua all-purpose. It is a saltwater hook. And if you looked at this is a size 4 in the vise here. And I just now tied a size 6 a second ago, and I'm tying a size 4 now. So you can tell shank-wise, it is a touch shorter, but it's not like it's that much shorter. So let's see if I can get it more right. There you go. So like I said, this is the Clouser hook's what I usually do. I just didn't have it in size 6. Blue and what, Jimmy? And I do have some different colors of blue. Where was I? I think I need to do some this way. We'll go around again. Because these, like I was saying earlier, these wraps right here, in my opinion, are what really keep that cinch everything down. Misha, get out. Misha does like some deer tail. She is very interested in deer tail. All right, so we've got our eyes locked in. You give them a little tug. Now, I don't care if you use super glue, what you do, these are tight. Like these are really, really tight. If I grab these and really try to spin, crank on them, they'll turn. And if you use super glue, if you put enough pressure on them, they'll turn. You'll just know I'm just not a big glue fan. So I'm gonna put a layer of thread going back and then back up. And like I said, the only reason you don't have to do this at all. I just feel like it makes the fly a little bit more durable on that back section. And we're putting this kind of open spiral wraps here to give our bugtail here a little something to bite into on that first level. So once again, we're going to pull off a little bit of bugtail, pull it straight up. Pull it straight up. We'll take this, open everything up. And I guess the easy way to say, like, cut off less than you think. Once like if you're newer, cutting less out it's easier to tie less material as well. If you have too much material in your tail or in your bucktail, it is going to be really difficult to get all of it bound down. I've learned that the hard way. Nothing worse than getting the fly completely done. It looks really nice, and you give it a tug, and because this bundle's tied in, once you get a little bit of it start pulling out, then you may as well just cut it off the hook and do something else. So it's looking pretty good. We're gonna measure this. Like I said, we want 2 and change. So there's 1, 2. So this looks pretty good where I've got it. I should have paid a little more attention. All right. So I'm going to put this right there by the tip. We're going to have that tip go down right in front of my thread. Loose wrap. Now, if your thread jumps one way or the other, me just give this a spin. And if I do this and my thread goes like that, see how it's going basically off when I let my thread loose. See how it's going forward? Don't try to what you don't want to do is force it, keep my thread tight so it goes right where I want it, and then push everything over like that. We don't want to have that. Okay, will you check this out over here? Push play or stop or something. So we want to keep our thread loose. So if it's not going the way you want, give it a spin. It just did. And now see how that, when I'm loose with it, see how, I'll switch back over to the vise. Sorry. See how when I'm loose my thread, see how it goes right where I want it? That's what we want. So having good thread control is important. So bring this around loose. Now bring that up. We'll bring a couple behind it because I did jump kind of forward. I want to bring this around. Now you can kind of have somewhat tight wraps, but every now and then point the nozzle of your bobbin directly at the fly and pull tight. And you might get a little bit of flare like that, but that's exactly what you want. Okay, so I've got that tied in. Bring our thread just right behind the hook eye. Bring it down and around right behind the eyes, those pink eyes. Grab our bucktail. We're going to hold the whole time I'm tying it in, I'm holding it above the hook. Put one, pull up tight, two, tight, three, tight. And you can get by with just one there. So now I'm going to open spiral wrap this. This is, like I said, this is just where you want to kind of have a little bit of pride and take your time with that part. Tight, bring it back around. So you can kind of see how that looks nice, the cross hatching. How do y'all? I'm a little like, how do y'all? What's up, Fudd? So you can really see on this one because this thread's showing up a little bit better. So all the bucktail, which is the white, is all underneath right here, and we and this is just the bare hook shank or the hook shank and thread. That's all that's there. So now let's find a good color of, what color to use on this one? Let's go the UV silver. So got it out. So with this crinkles on, you grab it by the tips here, pull it straight out. Get a little bit more. That might be too much, but I'm usually really careful and I try not to drop any. I won't be as careful right now because I want to respect your all's time. If y'all hear something, that is Misha chewing on something. Hopefully that's one of her toys.
It is.
Pink and white is killer on summer flounder. Dude, no kidding. It's killer for South Carolina summer flounder, spring flounder, fall flounder. Like trying to catch a redfish, but they love this color. So I'm going to take this, same as before. I'm going to have most of the, not that much. So when I look at it, I want this to go just past the hook shank, and this is going to be kind of my tail part. So I'll just pull this like that, so you can see. So I've got that up and around. Let's switch back over to the hook now. So now I'm going to bring this and just set it down. Pull this back. Just nice and tied down. I know I'm the only one that whispers to my flies. So I'm going to cut this. We'll go 1/2 inch, Gary. So now I got a flash in there. That might be a touch on the thick side, but I think it'll be just fine. It's just nice and split. There we go. Now let's get our bubble gum. So this is the Nature Spirits bubble gum. Bubble gum, aka like pink, because I've done this, and here's like fluorescent hot pink, not the same. So the other, if I don't get any other ones, I'll try this one next. So here's 3 different colors of pink. Here's my, in the camera also it's like salmon color, but that's like a light pink. Thanks, Jeff. But here's some other colors of pink, and they're hot pink, fluorescent, just different brands. These 2 are different colors, but you can tell like when I'm tying a Tutti Frutti, which is chartreuse and pink, I'm going to use one of these 2. One of these 2 colors of pink. They're good, and you know I'll get bucktail from about anywhere. I'll look, and if you're at Bass Pro Shops, there's Bass Pro Shop stuff in there. I wouldn't say go specifically to Bass Pro Shops just for bucktail, but if you're there, walk around, you can always luck in and find some good bucktail, and you can have a good chance of finding not so good bucktail. Not the only one who talks and whispers. Yeah, well, I won't say anything if you don't. What's nasty, Joe? Is something someone else said, or so another thing about bucktail, this one's actually perfect. Let's look, just for a second, look at the fly itself, Katie. So you can see how crinkly that is. I really like how crinkly that is. So when it's going through the water, this is going to disperse a lot more water. It's going to make more ripples in the water. That maybe it's a little bit too crinkly, but what I don't want is super, in some patterns you want this, but on a Clouser you want some crinkle to it. You don't want the fibers to be perfectly straight. Perfectly straight fibers are not what you're looking for with your Clousers, unless that's the way you want to look. And if it is, hey, cool. Color combos, Mr. Crinkle. Yes, they depend on how many you're on, they talk back, and sometimes they get an attitude, especially when they're not cooperating. And you got to get them right. I got just a little bit more than I wanted, so I'm just kind of slowly thinning that out. And I'm going to call this just about good. The next one I want to make sure I put my eyes in the right spot, because unfortunately I have got my eyes a little bit too far forward with this one. Name this one the Crinkle Dinkle. All right, so we'll measure this out just a little bit. Just pull out some of these extra long ones. That looks good.
Yes, the pink thread is.
The pink. Yep, that's 6-odd shell pink. During hunting season, you can get all you want. You find a good cleaning station. I'll bet, and Katie can tell a story about our friend. Hey, don't tie on that sign. And I've tied these using multiple colors. Like I'll put a small patch in, a bigger patch in, and then you can put feathers in them. You can do all sorts. I'm just trying to keep this. Bob usually just uses crystal flash here. That's my biggest variation here. Correct. Gary Semper Flash shell pink. So we'll bring this up. Remember, loose turn. If it doesn't go the way you want, stop. Don't force it. Give your thread a little spin. Make sure the thread goes right where you want it to go. A little bit of thread, a little bit of flare, that's okay. What you don't want is that to flare kind of like you're doing a Hellcare caddis or something, like where it flares up. That's what you do not want. So that's pretty good. I'm gonna pull this back. Just gonna bring a couple really tight wraps here. Hopefully without breaking, because I'm pulling darn hard. All right, so there we go. We'll bring this thread and we'll flatten it. I'm sorry, Nan, did I not say Semperfly? I might have just said shell pink. Yes. So I did not flatten that too well, but I'm going to try to get a nice smooth head here. I want my thread to be right back up at the rear because I want to do a back to front wet finish. I don't know why it's hard for me to count and talk at the same time, especially when I'm counting to 4 or 5. And if I go 5, it's not a big deal. If I go 4, it's not a big deal. But yeah. All right. So you saw how I put the head cement. So just round the eye, then back down right here. Make sure to pull all this up so you can get on the sides of this, because this part here is what gets demolished. I like nail polish better than UV resin because this is so tight right here, and maybe some other brands are better. My sausage fingers would be freaking leaking all over the bike tail by now. I've done that a couple times for sure. But I find that the nail polish, that the head cement soaks in better to the head. Not so much back here, but I've had UV resin in the past pop off here because it doesn't soak in real good. And so that's why I like using the nail polish. So let's come over to the side and look at this fly and kind of the portions of it. You can see how it looks. So it'll be nice. Let me pick this to the side so you can get more of a side view. Like good, something like that. I can't really tell if you can see that or not. So there's our white and shell pink, and I will resin that up later or glue it up. And here's our chartreuse. And actually, I think my wing size might have been a little bit thick on the pink one, but that's about perfect. And this is a size smaller. That looks really good. Misha, did you go to? She yacked something up just now. Yep, there she is. So anyway, there's that one. All right, we'll do one more and then call it done. We'll do another size 4. And we'll get the eyes on the right spot on this one. Katie, I'm sorry. Or you can just tell me what the comments are. One or two. All right, put this back in here. So we want to do chartreuse pink. So I'm going to just leave this one in. Although I just undid it. That's what I get for getting a rush for switch my thread out, then not even wanting to switch out in the first place. So I've seen these Tutti Fruttis tied with the pink. Like typically you want to put your darker color on top, right? That's what I just said. But what's darker, like fluorescent pink or chartreuse? Well, they're very similar. We'll use some of these site cast hotspot eyes. This is going to be chartreuse. This is extra small, so 3.2 millimeter, and this will be chartreuse. Those are bead chain eyes. That will also show you how many clouds you see with the eyes tied into clip. There's a method to the madness. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I tied those last ones a little bit too close. So I'm trying to back this one off a little bit. All right, so hold it at an angle. I'm going to do 10 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you see how it's right there, crooked as heck. Looks awful. And I'm sorry, John, I do see your comment. Someone commented before, John, I've lost it. Okay, rebooted me. So now you see how it kind of moves when I bend it. I want to kind of straighten it up. When I pull that around like this, and I put those additional wraps on, that's making those 10 wraps I just did even tighter. So I want to do 10 wraps again. So there's 1, 2, 3, little tug, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to look at it and see if it's straight. That looks pretty good that way. Let's look at it this way. I'm a little crooked there. So go ahead and straighten it up just the way I want it. And now we're going to go around it. Pull tight. Every third wrap or so, pull tight. I'm going to do 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Round 6, 7, 8. Pull it tight. And you could keep on doing this if you wanted to, but it's pretty tight. You see how the hook's flexing right there, back and forth, but the eyes are not moving. I mean, they would if I just not moved, because I was trying to be like, see, you can force them to move for sure. That's fine. Bring this pink back. We're going to come all the way up to the eye. Bring it back. So now we're ready to go. Bone dry. Plus, we'll sink in the tightest wraps. I'll have to try bone dry. I used it a long time ago, and I got tired of taking it to the microwave to get it to warm up and get it thin. So I'm going to give that a shot. Let's see which one I want to use. Use this one. So I've got. We'll go to some talking about Brad's stuff. We use Brad's. He doesn't. He just grabs a bag and tell me what color it is. But thankfully, I'm not colorblind, right, honey?
Mm-hmm.
This is pink. I want to do chartreuse on the bottom though. I'll make this one 100% Brad's. So another big thing, and I don't think Brad will ever know that I did this, but this is who Bob Clouser buys his bucktail from, or one of the people who buys his bucktail from. So I figured if Bob's going to buy a bucktail from Brad, it must be pretty good stuff. So this one's going to be a really cool one. I'm just kind of brushing out all the junk. Look how pretty that is. That's something right there. And this was like one of his cheaper ones too. All right. So I like to kind of get towards the bottom and work our way out. So we'll go right here. This is a brand new one. And you know, he's saying, why aren't you using the one that got right there? No reason. Pull it out. I'm going to spin this around. See what else in here, allergic UV resin. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not someone else in here allergic to it, because I've heard of a lot of people that are. I've also heard that there might be more about, it's one of those things, the more you get exposed to it, the higher the chance that you'll be allergic to it, but I don't know. So pull out some of these long ones. I know Tim Flagler is very allergic to it. All right, so we got two links. So that's 1, 2, and then some. So we're about good. Cut it off. Now remember how I said to cut, use your scissors. When you start cutting, pull back like this. So cut, pull back. When you're pushing those fibers forward, and when you're holding them still, just cutting, your scissors are going to push them forward. So we want a nice, straight, even cut. Make it like this. Make sure our thread's going to cooperate with us. See how it's loose, it's going right where we want it. Bring it straight up. So see how I started kind of at the bottom of that, not all the way on the bottom, but the bottom of the sweet spot, we'll call it. And that's why I'm getting a lot more flare. It's not unmanageable. Okay. Got a few that those will be covered up in a minute. I react to the same way Tim does. Yeah, that's Katie. Joe said Bear. Said hi, Katie.
Bear. Hey, Bear.
Remember his daughter?
I do. Hi, Bear. How you doing?
1,
Maybe I
two,
can on camera for a
3,
second.
4.
Hi.
Couple wraps here. Nice
Hey, Bear.
cross wraps. I bet Misha would like to meet Bear.
I know she would.
I'll bring this forward. Bring this around. And just to make it a little bit nicer, I'm going to, now the farther up I move on this so I cut it from right here. So the further up I go, it won't flare as much. But if I were to cut from down here, just like I showed you earlier, that's going to flare even more than what I just did. If that flared much more than that, I'd be like, I don't really want to. I don't want to use that. I find a cool flash to use. Pink, yellow, no. You could actually go on the top. You could get this peacock crinkles on as opposed to using natural peacock on top. I guess you could do that. I think what's going to go to this pink and chartreuse. Trying to be fancy with it. Let's see. That one might work. This one, good enough. This is a Skeena and pink blend. All right, so we'll take off about, let's see, handful of fibers around, cut them off. All right, so now we've got our blend here. I need to get one more, 2 more. Okay. So we're going to flop them around like this. Bring them around down. Make sure this is going on top of the hook shank. Bring that back. So see how that's coming out right on top. That's looking good. So let's split it. And lengthwise, we're actually a little bit on the short side on this one, but it's nice and ragged, so we're good. All right, so we're gonna get our pink. It's got to be used this a couple times, but not much. This one's a long one. So here's a neat trick. This is not an approved method, but it works. We switch over to the side, please. So, so I got my little bundle I just pulled off. So a lot of times we'll just measure it and tie it in. And I'm going to tie this much of it in. And I'm going to lose a whole bunch. And this is why you don't really, I don't need this really pretty, super long. Look how pretty it is. I don't need this really long bucktail for this, for Clousers. So I'm going to go ahead and clean out some of the short ones. So do that. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to take out the super long ones. I'm going to grab about here and I'm going to put them back in. So I'm kind of stacking it a little bit, but I'm not putting the same length as the tips. So we'll do it one more time. So now I'm going to cut off the ones I stacked in there. And now we've got a piece that's still reasonably thick. Thick enough for us, plenty thick for us, but it's a little bit shorter. So now when I go to tie it in, I'm only losing this much of it. So what that's doing is it's allowing you to not have to cut off such a big piece of bucktail. Just by pulling it out, sticking it back in, you don't have to cut off such a big piece of bucktail, and then basically waste a bunch extra. So anyway, little trick there. So let's measure, make sure our length is good. Looks all right. Let's switch back over to the hook. Cut this off. So I'm going to thread right back to where I'm going to start. Put this on like so. Just a little loose wrap. Now we're going to clean up her head. Pull tight. Pull tight. Oh boy. And Misha's returned. So the head's looking pretty good right now. Misha, you are crazy. All right. So I'm going to flatten this up, go down and back, and then make sure that's as clean as we're going to get it. And then we're done. So this is I believe it's a Tutti Frutti, if I remember right. It's another popular saltwater color combo. And I tell you, there's not within an hour away, there's not a good fly shop at the beach where we go. So typically we've got enough stuff, but there's a really cool bait shop there that has, well, they got one little bucket of flies, but if you want to get some ideas of colors, look at their baits. Look at their soft plastics, look at their artificials. That'll give you an idea of some cool colors to tie. And see how that whip finish it kind of hop back. If you'll take your time when you go to release it, so it won't come up, and kind of be a little more gentle with it. So it won't flop around as much. So there's our head all nice and done. At the bottom, like I said, we want to cover all this, cover the head, the Solres, the Gulf, I like the Sally Hansen's. It is kind of a pain because what it is, I put a coat on now, and then I put another coat on later. But the reality is, I have yet to find anything that will stay with put up with the abuse. Because after a while, they don't take long to tie, so it's not too big a deal. So let's switch over to the side. You'll see what our final product is. So here's the one we just tied. Looks pretty good. Was no focus on it. No. All right, so I'll just stay here. So pretty cool looking. Definitely super fishy. Thank you, Gary, for your little comment there. Yeah, the as far as the tips, I wanted to make sure we did number one. I actually wanted to show you why cutting from down here, trying to get all your money's worth out of it. I'm like, dude, I paid $8 for this thing. I want to make sure that I use all of it. This can be used for other stuff. Don't use this part for Clousers. They won't turn out as good. Use from here to here. And then the tips can be kind of a little bit too dense, but that's your sweet spot, like right in there. And then remember I told you it should kind of look like a knife. I think that's Clousers terminology. So if you look at it this way, I'm trying to get it so I can show you a little better.
Someone asked if you thinned out your Sally.
I have. Now this one, I don't know if I've done this one before. So the vertical, like looking at it straight on, see, it's like a knife. But looking at it this way, it's much like the profile is super wide, but going like this, it's really narrow. That's kind of what we want. We don't want it to be a round profile that goes all the way around for a Clouser. Like I said, there's plenty of other flies that do that. But this should be, the fiber should go down and up, not out. But like I said, you can time down and up however you want to. We'll just sit that upside down there. Yes, I do. I've got different viscosities even. So this is normally what I use. It's pretty thin. And I just use isopropyl alcohol to thin it out. And that's kind of the same thickness as in the my bottle. So depending on the type of fly that I'm tying, if it's something teeny tiny, can't get a brush in there a lot of times, so I'll use this. However, if I'm going to just put head cement on whip finish, I'll use this. Sometimes I want it a little bit thicker. So after a while, it does thicken up a little bit. But if it gets too thick, I'll just put some isopropyl alcohol, shake it up, and it's good to go. This one's definitely been thinned out a couple times. So then we've got every now and then Katie gets me a Father's Day or birthday or something. She surprises me with a brand new bottle. So
because you never know when they might stop making it.
That's right. You never know. Is anyone in Oregon? I know Mr. Jackson's in Oregon. Hopefully get you someone. Hey Dave, does your bucktail stink? Dave, I wouldn't say it stinks. The dog has been coming in and out of here, and she likes to smell it every now and then.
It doesn't have like no smell.
No, Katie's the one. Get that one a whiff.
Yeah,
Now this is Buzzy's.
But it's
It's
not terrible.
If it smelled bad, Katie would not let me have 500
No,
bucktails
we've
sitting
had
here.
stuff that's smelled
That's for
bad
sure.
before that I told him had to stay in the garage in the bag.
So, all right. Well, congratulations to Jimmy Roop again for winning the lid rig fly box as well as the flies. You won the little swag. Thank you, Joel. It's a hint.
For him to do my nails. I won't hold my breath.
She did start using Sally Hansen's on her nails, and she's like, "This stuff works really good." I'm like, "You don't got to be buying all that high dollar stuff." You know what I'm saying?
I rarely ever paint my nails.
Mothballs make them stink less. See, but if these smell like mothballs, they would smell worse. These don't you think, Katie? If these smell like a bunch of mothballs,
Yeah, they don't smell like mothballs at all. You have to put your nose up to it, and there's definitely sort of a smell, but it's not horrible. It's not bad. It's not like you walk in the room and you're like, ugh. So
these are different brands. Like this,
Yeah.
this is Buzzy stuff here. This is Nature Spirit, which is Wapsie. Most of it's coming from Wapsie, I think. But Buzz is not. He does his own stuff. Brad.
No, they don't smell like terrible. They definitely don't like not have a smell at all though.
Glenn, which was an interesting question. Well, guys, before I get carried away, what's up, Ryan, over on Instagram? Come over and join us on YouTube, although we are basically done. And I should have paid more attention. Guys, thank you so much for this wonderful evening. If you don't already subscribe to us on YouTube, we would love it if you subscribe to us. Once we hop off, like it, comment on it, do whatever you would like. Hopefully, between now and next week, you guys will have some time to post up your variation or your Clouser. Email it to us, tag us in it, and we'll share them next week. Jason, when we were at when you and I were at the Fly Time show, Buzz Flies. That's where in my mind the primo stuff. But you kind of got to get it in person. Yeah, you might be able to look on his website.
But he goes to all the shows.
He goes to like tons and tons of shows, especially on the East Coast. And last time, 2 times ago, I sent him some chartreuse, and he said, "Dude, Bob just left and bought all my chartreuse, Clousers." So I was like, "Well, the next time, save me a couple." And these are 2 saved me.
Hey, if you just watched our show for the first time tonight and you liked it, be sure to tune in every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another edition.
Yes, and thank you, Barry, for telling us your first show. We do this every Wednesday night. We have a good time. We always learn something. And I think you guys learned a thing or two. And we just have a good time.
And tie some Clousers up if you wish this week. And if you do, please be sure if you share your picture with us on Instagram that you put on the actual picture itself, you include at @Demuth_fly_fishing on the picture. If you would rather email us the picture, you can email it to demuthflyfishing@gmail.com.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for the wonderful evening. Fudd and Dave, only tie nymphs and larvae. You can have my bite. We will see you next Wednesday. Who knows what we're going to tie? Shoot us a note if you've got any requests. Since we're on the bigger stuff, maybe we'll tie garglers next week since it is topwater bass season. But we really appreciate all of you all hopping on. I'll turn it over to Katie. Fudd. Thank you. Peace out. Jason. Katie, take us away.
Have a great week, everybody. And happy time. Bye. See you later.